Good evening. Oh, that was louder than I thought. Fantastic turnout. Thank you so much. I hope this is indicative of the kind of voting rights we're going to have this year and how many people are going to turn out for voting. Not just for this time, but continuously in Indiana. We really have a poor record, so we need to improve that. And this is one way to do it. The League feels very strongly about that people who are informed don't hesitate to vote. So we're trying to get you informed. Good evening again. I'm Joanne Inquist. I am the president of the League of Women Voters of LaPorte County, and we are delighted to have you. We are sharing the sponsorship tonight with Better Government Study Group, which is an easy thing for us to do because we both have much in common. We neither support any party or any candidate. We study topics before we take sides. We try to help people understand what's happening with their government. So it's very easy to work with the Better Government Study Group. And some of them are members of us, and so on and so on. And tonight we have a moderator who has been a member of the League for many years. It may surprise some of you that the League has had men as members since the 70s, and we are increasing every year. In fact, on our own board, we have several men, and with great responsibility. So we hope all of you will think of joining us. As I talk to youngsters in various schools, some of them are surprised, and many of them are very interested. That's another change that we've just made. We are taking in, as members, 16 years and older, and any student does not have to pay any membership. So if you are a college student, and when I say a college student, not just a class, but a full-time college student, you are welcome to join the League for no charge whatsoever. We are encouraging that, and we hope that more people will take advantage of that situation. Tonight, first of all, I hope all of you received a program, and if not, just raise your hand, and one of our runners will be glad to. They do need some programs then, if you can bring some down. We'll get some to you, because you do need these. The program is very thin, and let me explain why. A couple of years ago, or maybe last year, we had a booklet that we printed out. It was very costly and very difficult to keep track of. There were errors in it and so on. And this year, what we decided is you don't need all that information because we have Vote 411. If you don't know about Vote 411, please find out about it. Vote411.org. All you have to put in. And then if you just put in, not your name, but your address, your zip code, city, you'll have a reference to all of the candidates on your ballot. It's a marvelous tool, and it's a way for you to be able to read about your candidates, and it's a way for the candidates to be able to communicate with you. So let's please use Vote 411 more, and we can save paper, we could save printing, and we can be better informed. Tonight, you'll find the list of the ground rules in the back. They're quite lengthy. I'm not going to read every single one to you. Most of them you probably know already, and it's about how you acted as an audience and how the candidates respond. None of you are wearing anything inappropriate as far as candidate slogans and so on, because we're here to give everybody a fair chance. Everyone needs to start out with the acceptance of all of us and have an open mind so that we can hear everything they tell us. Tonight, we're going to have some of our typical rules, about 2 minutes for an opening, and then 1 minute for responses to questions. Those seated above right now are unopposed. Unopposed at the primary candidate level is very different from at the general level. When we have a general forum, we will have many more people who are opposed. But you have to realize that you and I, when we go to vote, will have to declare whether we want a Democrat ticket, a ballot, or a Republican. And so people on that ballot may not have any opposition. Some of those people are seated up above tonight. And it may seem strange to you that they are unopposed, but they are unopposed in the primary. Some of the other rules here, again, about displaying appropriate, not wearing campaign material, and no, the one thing that we have added is that the audience will not be able to tape any of the candidates, any of the proceedings. That is something new, but that has not been a problem in the past either. No visual aids will be permitted. What that means is that people can't open up a big chart while they're up there and to be able to point to various things and so on. However, they can have notes with them. They can take notes while they're up there. That's perfectly all right. And in fact, I think it's a good idea. So, I don't know, are there any questions at this point? Any concerns about anything? The candidates have all read the rules. They've all signed off on them, and I think we're ready to move on. This is the approach that we're going to have. As I said, all of those that are unopposed will be on first, followed by Ward 2, the second ward, followed by the third ward, fourth ward, fifth ward, at large, and then the mayoral candidates by party, since both are opposed. Both the Republican and the Democrat are opposed. So we will have those separate. Okay, and our moderator tonight is someone that you probably know very well, and as I said, he's been a league member for many years. He's also very much involved and, in fact, headed up and started the Better Government Study Group, and that is Lee Morris. Lee, thank you so much.
Thanks, Joanne. Thank you. And I want to thank the League of Women Voters and the Better Government Study Group for sponsoring this candidate forum tonight. It's such an important opportunity for all of us, I believe, to get better acquainted with the candidates and the issues that we'll be dealing with. And I'd like to especially thank the candidates who are here, who are willing to stand up and share with us their beliefs, their desires, their goals, and their objectives, so that we can know more about them. But especially, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for being here tonight, because you are taking the time to get informed, to get involved, and to be a part of the political process, which is so important in this country. And whenever I come to an event like this, I always think of a little quotation from Abraham Lincoln about the elections process. He said, "Elections belong to the people. It's their decision. If they decide to turn their back on the fire and burn their behinds, then they will just have to sit on the blisters." But you are not going to have to sit on the blisters because you are involved in getting informed. So we appreciate that very much. Thank you for being here. Tonight we're going to be dealing with the candidates for offices for the city of Michigan City. And just a brief review, as you know, in Indiana we have three classes of cities. There's cities, and they call them sometimes first and second and third class cities. I don't like to say that because it sounds like they're not the best. So I call them cities of the first class, second class, and third class. Indianapolis is our only city of the first class. They have a mayor and a 25-member city council. Michigan City and some 30 other cities in the state are cities of the second class, and they have a mayor and a city council of 9 members, 6 wards and 3 at-large members. And then we have cities of the third class, which is LaPorte in our county. The mayor in the city of the second class is really the chief executive officer. And the statutes really spell out very clearly the responsibilities of the mayor. But mainly, it's making sure that the government functions, enforcing ordinances and statutes, and supervising all of the operations of the subordinate officers of the city. City Council is the legislative and fiscal body for the city. So these are important positions, and the teaming together is what makes government work effectively. Tonight, we're going to begin with, as Joanne said, the candidates who are unopposed in the primary. And tonight, first one is our first ward and Bryant Dabney. Bryant?
How you doing this evening? All right, let me get started. My name is Bryant Dabney. I am running for my second term in the first ward. And what I want to do tonight, you're going to hear a lot from all the different candidates, but what I'm going to do is actually go around my ward. Somebody asked a question in a previous forum, if you could pass an ordinance right now, what would it be? So I'm going to break my ward down and tell you what I would do in each. Break the ward down into different sections and tell you what I would do for those different sections. Let's start out at the beach. The first thing I would like to see done at the beach is have Lot 1 paved, and then also let's replace that old equipment, that old playground equipment out there. Washington Park needs to be upgraded to look like Pullman Field. That is actually the best park in the city right now in terms of playground equipment. Sheridan Beach, some of the most expensive and valuable land that we have in the city. I would love to see some more responsible development out there because that brings in more and more tax dollars for us to utilize in our general fund with the city. Moving down the boulevard to Elston Grove. Elston Grove has a lot of houses that are in a historical district. And we have people that have moved there that were not aware that it's a historical district. So when they've done repairs or tried to do upgrades to their properties, they found out that the cost was a lot more because they have to bring it up to historical code. I would like to start some kind of pamphlet, flyer, or some kind of coding so that everyone knows that these houses are in historical districts so the people are aware. And also maybe a fund that we could use to subsidize some of these home improvements when a person goes to do that to their home, so they're not thrown off by the sticker shock. Then there's the Canada area, Krieger Memorial, and Eastport, which kind of have the similar demographics. What I'd like to see in the Eastport, Krieger Memorial, and Canada area is that we start an ordinance, or we have an ordinance, actually it's in the works right now, where we have some renter protection. There are a lot of renters in these neighborhoods. I would like to see an ordinance where these properties have to be inspected before, that's 2 minutes?
Finish your sentence, Brian.
I have plenty more to say.
2 minutes goes by quickly, doesn't it?
Where these properties would have to be inspected before a renter is allowed to go in those. So we have some safety protections for the renters. And then,
Brian.
Can I get one last, please? And also, I would love to see more funding of the community block grant. These are grants that are designed to help areas like that to be able to make improvements to the homes. So if I can pass these things right away within my ward, that would be where I would start with the first ward.
Thank you,
moving
Brian.
forward.
Thank you very much. We have no unopposed candidates in the second ward, so we'll go to the third ward, and Keith Devereaux, Republican candidate, is unopposed. Keith?
Good evening, everybody. I would like to thank the League of Women Voters, first of all, for having us all together and giving us this opportunity. I'm a lifelong member of Michigan City. Most of that has been spent in the third ward, where half my family is still there. So I'm not doing this just for the fun of doing it. I'm doing it to look out for my family as well as the people of the third ward. I currently sit on the Urban Enterprise Association, where I have been for nearly 12 years. After that time, I have been the vice president of the group. We have several business and residential grants, some of which could help Mr. Dabney with his, ventures. I also sit on the newly formed Veterans Commission. I am on this commission because of some of the work I've done with veterans and PTSD. The third ward is kind of split into two groups. The group that needs the most attention is the group on the west side of Michigan City. The city has made plans and developed a lot of the north end. Well, coming into that north end, you've got to come through the third ward. And it really needs cleaned up. It really needs a little more attention there. So that's where a lot of the work will be. the people on the other side of the tracks, if you will, their issues are more light crimes and juvenile-centered type things where they just have nuisances that need to be addressed. And if they so deem me to be there, that's where I'll be. And that was 2 minutes.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
There are no unopposed candidates in the 4th Ward, so we'll go to the 5th Ward, where we have both Republican and Democrat candidates unopposed. First, Nathan Patrick, Republican candidate.
As you said, my name is Nathan Patrick. I've lived in Michigan City my whole life. What prompted me to run for city council is my peers and people like my grandmother and older people. The older people, the people who want to be taken care of, want to be seen about, and the younger people, the people who want to be heard. With the younger people, my goal is to show them that local government is very important, and that it's very important to be involved, and that if you want change, you have to speak up and speak out, and that starts with voting. And I say you have no voice if you don't vote. And so when things are going on in our local government and they want to see something happen, maybe for themselves or their families, it's very important that they first go out and vote and understand the importance of it, and understand also their local government and how important it is. I say it's very important because when I step outside my welcome mat each morning, I am in Michigan City, and the things that happen in Michigan City are what's important to me. Now, it may seem that I am young, so I may not have all the years behind me, but I am educated and well-informed. And when you have those two things put together, you can make well-informed, educated decisions. And the biggest part of that is listening to the ones who've been there, done that, paved the way. And I'm willing to do that because they've had things that they've been wanting to do for many years and just didn't know how to get it out or hadn't got it out for whatever reason. But I'm here to say that I am here to listen to you and to see what we can do for 5th Ward first, because I'll be the representative for 5th Ward, and then ultimately second, the entire Michigan City. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now for the Democrat candidate for the 5th Ward, Tracy Tillman. Tracy?
Good afternoon. My name is Tracy Tillman, and I am running for the 5th Ward for City Council. And
There we go.
I apologize for that. My name is Tracy Tillman, and I am running for 5th Ward City Council. Just to brief a little bit about me, I have been a public servant for nearly 30 years. I work for LaPorte County Prosecutor's Office, and I also hold a paralegal degree. And with that being said, this will allow me to let you know that being a paralegal comes with having the understanding and the knowledge of research, fact-finding, to find out what's going to benefit or the programs that's available or grants that's available to help put back the infrastructure into the 5th Ward. I wanted to give you a little bit more about myself, but I was given 2 questions. And the first question was for me, which states, what is the main reason that I wanted to represent the 5th Ward? And did I have any specific ideas to improve our ward? I wanted to represent the 5th Ward because I have been a longtime resident, nearly 40 years. My upbringing, my family still reside within the 5th Ward. And just to see how the infrastructure and the 5th Ward has deteriorated over the years to where we no longer have any type of community activities, anything for the youth or for the elders for that fact. We don't have a community convenience store any longer. We have to go out to South Franklin or Carrick Road. Some of the ideas that I would like to implement would be partnering with businesses and community leaders, recreations and job opportunities for our youth, provide community resource and awareness so that you know what's actually going on within your 5th Ward where we all reside. I'm willing to work to maintain and improve the 5th Ward infrastructure, encourage community policing initiatives, and further expansion and implementation of the Eastport goals and action plans of the Fifth Ward.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you. Now, in the 6th Ward, we have a Democrat who is unopposed, and that's Gene Simmons. Gene?
Well, thank you. My name is Gene Simmons. I'm a Vietnam veteran, retired Michigan City police chief. Most recently, I retired from Blue Chip Casino as security manager, where I worked 13 years. I'm presently the 6th Ward councilman. I took the council position with Chris Swanky moving out of state. So I've been in this position for a year. Basically, serving is my passion. I've lived and worked in Michigan City my entire life. I've lived in the 6th Ward 36 years. My goal is to enhance the quality of life both in the city and in my 6th Ward. One of my proudest co-sponsors were the GAF roofing initiative ordinance, which consists of $30 million distribution center in Millennium Business Park on 40 acres of land, creating 50 new jobs with a retention of 150 jobs retained. One of my other proud moments is the co-sponsor of the annexation of 426 acres of property near US 20 and Interstate 94 for future development, which will consist of residential, commercial, and industrial. I pledge to continue responding to your issues and concerns as the city move forward.
Thank you, Gene. And now we have a Republican candidate in the at-large group who is unopposed, and that's Billy Green.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, and thank you for the invitation to speak. Many people envision making America great again, but for a moment, I want to shift our focus from off our country and off our state and into our very own neighborhood. Let's make our neighborhoods great again. Let's focus on our streets and clean up that litter. Let's aim for safety in our city blocks. There's no place for bullies on our boulevards. Let's fairly implement code enforcements. Let's rally our youth and institute programs for teens where they can take pride in their roots and blossom where they have been planted. When you vote for William Green, you are voting for a vision I have for our city where our teens unite in a program that I call Community Connect, where our community can be safe and fun again, and where our families can enjoy clean streets. Simply put, when you vote Green, you'll invest in our teens. When you vote for Green, you're hoping to ban the mean and obscene. When you vote Green, you vote clean. My name is William Green. I need your vote for City Council at large, November 5th. Thank you, and good night.
Thank you, Billy. Now, an extra round of applause for all these candidates who were unopposed for their wonderful beginning. You may be seated in the audience now.
Excuse me. Can we get an explanation of the cards that they're bringing up down here for the rest of the people? Because they all look green to me.
Oh, the cards here?
I'll run right through those.
The yellow one is to say, hey, you've got a few minutes to go.
What is it? 15 seconds for yellow and then red stop.
Red means stop. You bet.
I thought that was green.
Right. Thanks.
I thought it was green.
Nice to meet you. Thank you. Thank you.
Last two green cards then.
were you tonight? Yeah, good to see you tonight. Glad you're with us, Paul.
I'm with you too.
They aren't the most comfortable, that's for sure. We will be going next to the candidates for Second Ward. There are three Democrats who are vying for the position in Second Ward, and we will do them alphabetically, beginning with Michael Gresham. These candidates will have 2 minutes for an opening statement. We'll be asking questions of each of them. They'll have a minute for each of the questions to respond, and then a 1 minute closing comment. So let us begin with Michael Gresham.
Thank you, Lee. And thanks to everyone for coming out tonight. It's great to see such a response and such a crowd tonight. My name is Michael Gresham. For those of you who don't know me, I am a lifelong resident of Michigan City, born and raised, very involved. One of the things you always hear a lot about Michigan City is the good old days. And I think the most important thing to learn from the good old days is the level of involvement that was in the community back then. And because of that, I've learned from that, and I've been involved. And I've sat on such groups as I was on the last board of the Michigan City YMCA. I've sat on Plan Commission, Urban Enterprise. I was president of the Michigan City Scholarship Foundation for 6 years. Vice president currently of the High School Athletic Booster Club. I've worked scoreboard at football games. And my personal favorite, I am the founder and operator of citybythelake.org. And past that, I have taken the pledge. I am fully self-funded. I am not taking any outside money for this campaign. I don't want your money, in other words. I want to remain free and clear of outside influence for anything but what is best for this city. And because of that, I decided to take the pledge to only spend my own money on the campaign. It's not going to be a lot. You'll see some signs, maybe an advertisement, but it's going to all be mine. Past that, thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael. Next, let's go to Paul Prisbalinski.
Thank you. I would like to thank everyone this evening, the League and the Better Government group. I would like to start and just tell you, I think a lot of people know me, and they know that I served previously on the council for 4 terms. I have a lot of experience and knowledge in city government, and that I have a priority list of things that I want to get done. Number 1 is I want to pass an ordinance to fund the Lafayette Barker sewer project that has been planned and engineered and has not been funded for the last, after I left office 11 years ago. There's been no money put aside to do this major project for people around Elson High School, reaching all the way out into the 5th Ward. I think it's very important that we move forward, and I want to do that for you. Not only the 2nd Ward, but for the city also. My next priority is I also want to start a program to help people with their property taxes. We have a program right now called Promise. Well, I will tell you that if, say, you have you pay $500 for your property taxes, and you have a child, and you get that program, your taxes, the money you get back, you're subsidized for 20 years with that program if you get the $5,000 a year for 4 years. So you see, it can be done. Myself and Phil Jankowski proposed this years ago, and we want to get it done, or I want to get it done for you. Also, I would like to say that our parks need improvement, and being that my son did a project at Ruby Woods, and I went out there, thank you.
Thank you, Paul. And now, Catherine Stransky. Kathy?
Hello, I'm Kathy Stransky, 59-year resident on the 200 block of East Barker Ave. I have been, of course, always in the second ward. I have worked many, many jobs. Probably my proudest job was at the post office, 27 years. I probably walked to many of your doors, maybe drove up to them, but I was there 27 years, not only as a carrier, but as a clerk, customer service, and I was in the postmaster's assistant office helping to provide to make a PEG program, Performance Evaluation Guidelines, which was an OSHA project for the Michigan City Post Office. I belong to the auxiliary of the VFW, the Squat Post. I'm a member of the Women of the Moose. I have served our community for many, many years without having any kind of title. I went as recently as a year and a half ago. We had a new business come in our area. It was not going well. The new business owner was young, had big ideas, and the neighborhood is old and has old ideas. But it worked out. The Michigan City Police and the owner had worked out all those issues. But I continued to come to the zoning board meetings because I wanted to keep up on this. I know how my neighbors feel. And in September, I came to the board with the idea that we had snow removal coming. And I wanted to know what we could do to make that happen without having an uprising in the neighborhood again. Our city planners and his attorney and himself were able to work out a program, and this year we had no issues. Last night I had a call on the St. Anthony's area. They wanted me to come out and see a garage that was full of either raccoons. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you. Now we have some questions for the candidates for the second ward. The first one, and we're going to do these in reverse order, so Paul, we'll start with you and go to Michael. With the South Shore double tracking on 10th and 11th Street, what will you do for the residents who live on those streets to be closed and who do not wish to have them closed?
Well, I think that has to be, that's not set in stone, all those streets being closed. And I think that is a major issue that the future council is going to have to deal with it. And I don't believe that all those streets should be closed. That's how I will address that issue. And I don't believe that if people look at 13 streets being closed, I think it's a safety issue. I think we have to condense that for the good of the city and the community. And I don't think people realize what that will do, but I really do think it's a safety problem.
Okay. Thank you, Paul. Kathy, same question.
They are potentially looking at closing 13 streets. Will it be 13 streets, 15 streets? Who knows? The problem is it's coming, and we have to accommodate it with our city and our residents the best we can. Yes, nobody wants their street to be closed. We all want to drive straight through and over the tracks and go about our business. But I don't know that we are in a position where we can really stop that kind of construction. Maybe, but I'm not sure that with the federal money involved, that is a choice we're going to have to make. Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy. And Michael.
The most important thing with this project from the top down is that we're advocating for the residents first. We're already going to be adjusting to the hospital being in a new location, which might actually be one of the most important factors there on which streets we close and how. So we're already adjusting how ambulances move across town and how people move across town. But then we're going to have to look and decide what is the safest way we can do this for the most possible good, because we've already created a healthcare desert on the west side now. Now we're going to be separating more transportation options for these people to move across town in situations and for ambulances to move from neighborhoods on one side of the tracks to the other side of town. So the absolute most important thing we can do here is to advocate for our residents. And that also goes for the housing aspect that's going to change a lot, with a lot of residents losing homes, too. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Now, Paul, we're going to begin the second question with you, if we may. What are your thoughts for the Midtown area?
I believe that Midtown study needs to be implemented, but also that Midtown has been forgotten, and that's part of the second ward, and I think that in the study and in the plan, it needs to have new lighting and also definitely needs to be cleaned up. That's part of my program that I want to address during the campaign. But also, I believe that there's too much focus on the north end and not enough in the neighborhoods in general. But the Midtown definitely needs attention, and it needs to be cleaned up and implemented. And Franklin Street needs to be replanted soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Kathy, the Midtown area.
Okay, the Midtown area. Let's start with congratulating Leo's Restaurant on the restoration they're doing. Let's hope that that's just one of the many companies that are coming. The lighting situation has already come before the city council. They kind of project they would like to bring the lighting down from 11th Street to Barker Ave. The new lighting system, which would be just absolutely wonderful. I know we can't do every street in town at one time, but we can do a section at a time, and I'm grateful that it is the section between 11th and Barker Ave. As far as the other buildings and the residents, the other buildings on Franklin Street, you see new mom and pop businesses come. The reason they don't make it is because we don't come down that far to support their businesses. I think that we need to, as a city, quit looking at Chili's and those kind of restaurants and start looking for the single family-owned restaurants that we had years ago. That will get the Midtown going.
Thank you, Kathy. And Michael, please.
When it comes to Midtown, I think Paul used the word forgotten, and I think he is absolutely dead on right there. Most of the focus seems to be either on the north end or the south end, and that area kind of between 11th Street and Highway 20 kind of gets forgotten. I think the most important issue in Midtown right now is what to do about the loss of St. Anthony's. A lot of jobs have moved south of town, and because of that, you're going to see a change in movement around town. A lot of people who came to visit loved ones at St. Anthony's are now not going to come through the neighborhood. That's going to be a loss of business and traffic. Another important issue is, again, looking out for our neighborhood. What are we doing to make people want to move here? We do an incredible job of getting people to visit Michigan City, but we haven't been able to do something to make it sticky, to get them to stay in Michigan City. And what we do in the neighborhoods is what determines, are these people visiting or are they going to stay for good eventually? Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Now, our third question for the candidates involves that St. Anthony area. Two questions that are somewhat related. Now that the St. Anthony Hospital building is empty, what are your thoughts about the future use of the building? And do you know any of the plans for the hospital that is now vacant? And Paul, let's begin with you, if we may.
Thank you very much. I have talked to several residents, and they definitely want a community meeting and to have input on what's going to happen with St. Anthony's Hospital. Some people feel that they should still have some kind of presence there with the emergency room for care for the west side and the I'll say, the coin the phrase, the middle of town, but everything north of the C&O tracks. So I believe that I think it's in best interest of the Second Ward and the city that we have community, some type of community meetings to get the input from the residents on where we should go with that campus. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Kathy?
Okay, first of all, St. Anthony's Hospital is a private business. We can no sooner go on that property and tell them what to do than we can go to the Marquette Mall and tell them what to do. The only way we're going to do anything is through code violations, and that's how it is. St. Anthony's has got businesses moving in there. The WIC office has moved in there recently. The rumor is that they no longer have hospice at the hospital. There will be a hospice floor at St. Anthony's Hospital. They're not going to vacate that building totally. Let me tell you, they got that big garage they've invested in. They are not going to lose money. They are not going to let money go. They are just going to sit back and wait for the right opportunity. I do not believe that St. Anthony's and their administration is just going to sit there and watch the building crumble. That's just not going to happen. They got too much invested. They like their money too. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. And Michael, please.
Catherine's right. The hospital is a privately owned entity, so in terms of what we can do, we're limited to cooperating with them. Now, what we need to do at this level, on a council level and above, is to advocate for our neighborhood. There's nothing wrong with working with the group who owns that site and trying to find a match potentially for something to go in there. The absolute most important thing is we cannot let that turn into another brown site. We can't let that become an empty, decaying building like we've seen in so many other places around town. We have got to keep up the level of cooperation and involvement with the Sisters of St. Francis and really push for something neighborhood friendly to keep traffic coming in, and if not, a way to reintegrate that footprint back into the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael. Now, candidates, you each have 1 minute for your closing comments. So, Paul, we'll come back to you if we may.
Thank you. Speaking about St. Anthony's and South Shore and everything, is that I disagree with some of the things that have been said already, but I believe that working as a city council member that we can get things done because the city has given St. Anthony's a lot over there. They've given them a lot of streets vacated, and that I do believe that one thing that needs to be done is Buffalo Street needs to be reopened and try to make that a two-way street to offset any problems with the South Shore. Also, that the program that I want to implement with tax relief, property tax relief to people in Michigan City, I believe that is a stimulus to help people buy homes, because that's one of the biggest problems when people go to buy a home is paying their property taxes on it. And I also want to help people with their property tax assessments in Michigan Township, and that's a major part of the Second Ward. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Kathy, with your closing comments, if we may.
Okay. I just want to say I have been in this ward for 59 years across from our school. My family was rich in the history of that ward. I love the ward. I could have moved away. Nope, I stayed. I will stay. I am a Democrat. I'm a true Democrat. I've been a Democrat since 1974. When I registered to vote, I have voted the Democrat ticket. I'm with you guys. I want to be on the council. I want to serve my city as a Democrat. Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy. And Michael, please, for your concluding comments.
Thank you. First things first, I'm actually very proud tonight to announce that I have received the endorsement of the current Second Ward councilman. So I would like to thank Candace Silvas for her support. And I think that's a great segue to ask for your vote. I think the one issue we haven't touched on at all tonight, at least so far, is jobs. We've talked about unemployment coming down. There are 12 metropolitan areas in the state of Indiana that labor statistics are kept for. We are last in unemployment in those 12 districts. We are also last in job growth. In the last 3 years, we've added 62 new total net jobs to Michigan City. It's the Bureau of Labor Statistics. If you're curious, you can look up those numbers for yourself. But what we've really got to invest in to get people to stay here is jobs, and we've got to do better at this. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. And a round of applause for these candidates from the Second Ward. Appreciate it. Thank you. See you, Paul. Now, we're going to move to the Third Ward. And we have three Democrat candidates for the Third Ward. And we will begin tonight on the Third Ward candidates with Chad Childers.
Thank you. Thank you. Chad Childers.
Sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. Been a lifelong resident of the west side of Michigan City, 215 Douglas Avenue. Also co-owner of Tony's Outboard, Chiefs Bait, and Michigan City Wholesale Bait. Just want to tell you that I've been working with the public and in the service all my life. Born in the business, owned and operated, and it has passed down responsibility to myself. I see a lot of faces talked to a lot of people, and some of the biggest things are our lakefront. Our lakefront is our biggest asset in Michigan City. We've got to keep it clean, as well as introduce it to outside people. We've got a lot of tourists that come in the area, and everybody wants to see the beautiful sand and the beautiful lake. I myself don't get to use it as much as I want to, because I do serve the city and serve tourism to come in and fish and also just boat in general. I am a problem solver. I see problems every single day, and I make quick decisions, with it being the right way or the wrong way. But I'm due to take the consequences of whatever decision that I make. As far as neighborhoods, the community is the biggest thing. I can honestly say I haven't been the biggest person in the community. I do help where I can. My neighbors in the area, if something comes up, I try and help them with their problem, with it being a tool or advice or what have you. But overall, I'm here to serve the public, and I have done it for 33 years and continue to do it further. Thank you.
Thank you, Chad. Now let's go to Laurel Izard, please.
I'm Laurel Izard.
I'm bound to mispronounce names, Laurel. I'm so sorry.
I have a tricky one. I've been a resident of the 3rd Ward for 27 years. For 23 years, I had my small business. For 9 years, I taught high school. I am been an artist my whole life. I show my work throughout the country. I've won awards. And I think what I bring to the table with that is creativity, thinking outside of the box, and vision. Also, I mean, I've worked very hard as an artist. I've had experience writing grants and also served on the Arts Commission Grant Review Panel. I'm very glad to see how arts have played a part in the revitalization of Michigan City. I think one of the biggest issues facing the 3rd Ward is housing. I think one of the areas of that is making sure that landlords are following the ordinances. I think the idea of having inspections of properties to be rented is a really good one. I would like to see programs that allow renters to own their own homes. There's a lot of grants out there for homeowners to fix up their houses, but I'm seeing a disconnect as I've been researching this, and them actually utilizing this money that they could have a possibility to get. I think that for middle class people, it might be easier to find government funding, but I'd like to see some of the people on the lower end of the economic scale have more opportunities to find out about that stuff, and it might take actually going into the neighborhoods and assisting them with that. I think the lead protection program that our city is qualified for is really a great thing. I think it's going to take the council to help, implement that and help get the information out to people so that they can, get the hazardous lead out of their houses.
Thank you, Laurel. Now, Michael Mack, please. I got one right.
That was right, yeah, okay. My name is Michael Mack. I was born and raised here in Michigan City, graduated Elson in '81, graduated Adrian College in '85 with a bachelor's in business. I'm running as a Democrat for the 3rd Ward. I've lived in the 3rd Ward for 18 years, about a block away from Knapp School. Great neighborhood. It's a big difference when you live in a school neighborhood. You see the kids come and grow and different kids come back and things like that. Some of my experiences that have prepared me to do this job. I've done 20 years in retail. I started at Lighthouse Mall when it opened. I got promoted through a lot of places in retail. I've been store managers, district managers, regional managers with 9 West, Best Buy. I've traveled quite a few places. Then I came back to Michigan City when I managed the Best Buy in South Bend 20 years ago. I'm currently working with ArcelorMittal Steel Company, and I've also been a volunteer for the Unified Track Team Special Olympics at the high school for the last 4 years. I have an autistic son. That has taught me so much patience, And it brings back some of the things. I was an athlete back in the day, and teaching those children some of the benefits of athleticism and things like that. So I'm saying that to say that teamwork, education, and training are important characteristics that people need in this job to bring communities back together. And good relationships and trust is really what I'm hoping to offer more of, because it's in a deficit in the country. And I would hope I can bring that back to any subject, because we've got a lot of big subjects we're going to be talking about in Michigan City with the tracks and some of the big things that we're doing. And trusting your local officials and having a belief that they're making decisions in the interest of the community is what I'd hope to bring to this office. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we have some questions for our third ward candidates as well. And Chad, we'll begin with you. What are your thoughts for the west side area by Highway 12, Mount Baldy? And how are you going to keep the residents informed of what's going on in the ward and the city?
Thank you. As far as the area along Highway 12, we've got property there. My family's got property there, as well as the business where the bait shop and things are right now. We've done nothing but improve it. Would like to continue to improve it, as well as clean it up overall. It's the main artery into Michigan City. Highway 12 draws a lot of traffic, and overall it needs to be presentable. So all in all, it needs to be cleaned up and some development brought in the area. Thank you.
Thank you, Chad. And when we go to you now, Laurel, please.
Yes. I think as that area is an entryway into Michigan City, and it's fairly shabby. There's no sidewalks, or there's partial sidewalks there. It's hard to, foot traffic's almost impossible there. So it would be nice to see some development. I think, small business is one way of doing that. But I'd also like to see what the city can do as part of their improvements in general that can help out in that area as well. Thank you.
And Laurel, what would you do to keep residents informed of what's going on in the ward and the city?
I think that's actually a really good point. What I would like to do is have informal town hall meetings with the residents monthly, if that's, or at least quarterly, so, people have a chance to air their concerns or also find out more information. Yeah, you can read the paper, but, sometimes people in government, have a little bit more inside information that would be nice to get to the residents.
Thank you, Laurel. And Michael.
The Mount Baldy question, it's an example of kind of what I'd said before. There's big things that are coming down the pike that are going to take a lot of communication with people and a lot of ideas coming from a lot of different directions. With the national park on one side and NIPSCO going on the other side, it's a lot of opportunity there, and it's going to have to be a group project to get that place where it represents the city the way we want it to do, want it to be at that point. I'll let people know that through a network of people. You network and you speak to the different various people in the communities and diverse areas and diverse groups, and also use social media, Facebook, and all of that stuff also.
Thank you very much, Michael. Our next question, as of this day, no gas station, full-service grocery store, pharmacy, doctor's office, financial institutions, and secondary public schools exist in the third ward. What type of action should the next council person take in establishing these types of facilities to serve the residents of the west side of the city? Chad?
I believe to help serve out the west side, it would have to be look elsewhere. We've tried in the past to put gas station in on our property, other types of stores, and sometimes people have different opinions of the area and what should be on a certain piece of property. I feel outside input would help us to put stores and put better use to our area. Overall, we have to have development in the area. no sidewalks and no way to get around is definitely a hindrance to bringing development in the area.
Thank you, Chad. Laurel, please.
Yes. Well, I think the pattern of shopping is for more centralized shopping. I mean, that's just the way people have cars and that's what they've done. So I think it's nice to bring that into the neighborhood if you can, but if you can't, and what might be helpful is to have a bus system that gets people from the ward into where they want to shop. I also see a lot of warehouse space and business possibilities for actual jobs for people in our ward. And it would be nice to, bring in programs that can help develop that as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Laurel. And Michael, please.
It's a great question. There's a lot of areas in our town that could use some of those things, the gas stations and different wards. But aggressive is the first thing I would say. If the community actually wants that, if there's a large amount of people on the west side that really are looking for that type of direction and that type of investment, that's the way we should go. We can subsidize it. I mean, other communities do those things all the time. I think we just have to really make some decisions of what we want our neighborhoods to look like, neighborhood by neighborhood. I remember what all of these neighborhoods used to look like. That's not coming back. What is going to be next week, next year, 5 years from now when NIPSCO comes, it's kind of difficult, but we should aggressively get people's opinions, get them together, and try to implement something that's best for the people within each area.
Thank you very much, Michael. Now, we're going to give you the same question our second ward candidates had about the South Shore double tracking, because it affects the third ward as well. With South Shore double tracking on 10th and 11th Streets, what will you do for the residents who live on streets to be closed, who do not wish to have them closed? Chad?
I honestly don't know enough about the double track to tell you one way or another. That's part of me. I'm honest to the end of it. So for me to answer that 100%, I could not answer that. Thank you.
Thank you, Chad. Laurel?
As far as, I mean, I know that there's federal and state considerations as well as the South Shore. I think that getting information to the people in the wards, hopefully there will be some format for them to voice their concern. And I think it's a hard one because it's not, necessarily up to this body to change that. But what we can do is keep our people informed, keep our eye on what's happening, and be a voice for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Laurel. And Michael, please.
Some of the things with that I've looked at on that is the streets that are closed, there's going to be reasons for it. It's going to be for routes or safety or ambulance routes and things like that. So a person that's living in that area that's got real concerns on that, I would try to make sure that that person understood that it's not a simple decision. And some of those decisions, like the economics of it, are just going to have to go. If we're going to have the double track, there's going to be some side effects to that. So the person, if we can make them whole, if there's things that can be done to assist them if they needed to move or whatever it is, I think that's the way to go. But I don't think we're going to be able to stop street closures that are going to have to close.
Thank you, Michael. Now, for concluding comments, each of the candidates will have 1 minute, and we'll start with you, if we may. Chad, please.
For my closing comment, would just like to inform everyone that, I serve the people and have served people for quite a long time, make very hard decisions at times. Also want to say that there's a lot of people that hide behind phones, cell phones, text messages, things of that nature. Anytime you call anyone, they hide behind a voicemail or a text message. Myself, I don't hardly answer my phone while I'm working, but I am always there. If anyone would like to come and speak to me face to face, I have no problem with that. I'll take time out of the day to speak with you and address any concerns that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chad. Laurel, please.
Yes, I think my biggest job to be an engaged voice for the community. And that requires not just being the voice, but being an ear and listening to the concerns and that of the people in the community, to answer questions, to help people in the community, find answers to their difficulties. I think that having vision and being an artist is something that I can bring to the table that's a little different than some of the other people that would be on city council. And I feel that is in a diverse community, that having different voices on the council is a really important thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Laurel. And Michael, please.
Good relationships and trust. That's what drives good communities. I'm asking for your vote because I think I can bring some of that back to our local politics. I'd like to improve accountability in government. I live right on the corner of Roberta and Boca, and so a lot of, I'm easily accessible to anyone that has any questions or wants any answers for anything that's happening in the Third Ward. So placing focus on issues facing working parents, school-age children, and the many of us that are on fixed incomes. Those are the priorities that I've got in my head and my heart, and I'll be focusing on those if elected. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Now, round of applause for these Third Ward candidates. Yes. We're going to graduate now to the Fourth Ward, where we have two candidates tonight, two Democrat candidates. We'll begin, again, alphabetically with Sean Fitzpatrick.
First, I'd like to thank everyone for coming. My name is Sean, sometimes called Fitzpatrick. My phone number is 219-874-6547. And my email is sfitzmc@hotmail.com. And if you have any questions that's going to take longer than a minute for me to answer, please contact me directly. I'm currently the Fourth Ward council person, and I've taken a Fourth Ward first approach. Say that 10 times. And I believe that the people of the Fourth Ward have not been represented by the person we sent to represent us. I've been going door to door, and everything that I've worked on in the council has been directly from information that I got from the people that live in our ward, my neighbors. There's no way I think I'm the smartest person in the world, and I'm not the wealthiest or the most popular, but I'm going to work the hardest and I'm going to listen the most. Anything that I do is going to be a direct correlation to something that I heard from someone. I saw issues with our youth resorting to gun violence because they don't have better conflict resolution skills, so I came up with the Youth Leadership Commission. People who were complaining about it being dark on Paws Road, so I came to the Board of Works and we got lights coming. We have many complaints from people that work for the city about not being able to come forward when they have issues, so I worked on a whistleblower ordinance. And the last thing I'm working on right now, which is still in the works, it won't make it to this council agenda, but the seniors in our community. A lot of our community, we look at shabby yards, and it's usually because it's some elderly person that lives there and can't mow their yard themselves. They don't have the money because they're on fixed incomes. So I'm working on a senior landscape relief ordinance to help people that are current in their property taxes and are over a certain age or disabled. I work for the people and the people first.
Thank you, Sean. And now to Beth McKee, please.
Good evening. My name is Beth McKee Pishker. I'm a Democrat candidate for City Council representing the Fourth Ward, where I've resided for over 50 years and owned a home there for 35. I have leadership experience and 40-plus years spent as a public servant. I get results. In the past 3 general elections, I've been elected by my community 3 times. In 2010 and 2014 for school board, and in 2018, precinct chairwoman for MC12. In my 8 years on the school board, 3 of them as executive board secretary, I was part of a team that transformed the schools from a low-performing school system into a great-performing school system. We went from one of the highest graduation rates in the state to achieve one of the highest. Multiple dual college credits and many long-term community partnerships were established. Solar panels replaced many of the aging heating and cooling systems, saving millions of dollars. and I personally introduced the idea of school uniforms. I've been a registered nurse for 40 years. I've had experience being on the Planning Commission, the Enrichment Board, the Women's Commission, the Women's Democratic Club, where I was vice president for 3 years, and I'm a Eucharistic minister at St. Stanislaus Church. My plans for the Fourth Ward are to be a voice for the citizens. I'd like to shine a light on the poverty, improve the quality of life, health, and safety by seeking more green space, walkability, and transportation through the ward. Some issues that need to be monitored, that need watching would be, we have to continue to monitor the status of that pallet company on South Ohio. It's supposedly has shut down. However, there's mountains very high of old pallets that go on, and that's desperately needs to be cleaned up as they pose a serious health and safety risk.
Thank you very much, Beth. And now our questions for our Fourth Ward candidates. First one is, what type of action should be made by the next Fourth Ward council persons to extend city water and sewer services south of Interstate 94 to serve current and future development in that area, including Michigan City's Patrick Park? Sean?
Me first? Oh. Well, I definitely agree. I think that the city should be more involved in providing infrastructure. If I was a developer and I'm coming into an area and I'm wanting to looking to invest in a certain area, if there's a current infrastructure that I could readily tap into, it would be a lot more attractive for me to do that versus me coming, purchasing the land. Now I have to do all of this extra work to connect plumbing and sewage to an area. I think the city should definitely take a hard look at that and work on whatever it is with engineering firms. We have a lot that we work with. We have a city engineer as well. So I think that would be a very good opportunity to attract more business and more infrastructure, more development here on the outskirts of the city. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fitz. Beth, same question, if we may.
Could you repeat the question again?
Yes. What type of action should be made by the next Fourth Ward council person to extend city water and sewer services south of Interstate 94 to serve current and future development in that area, including Michigan City's Patriot Park?
I think we'd have to enlist the city engineers to guide us on that one. I would agree that we'd have to do that to extend the city that far. And that's about all I can answer on that one.
Thank you, Beth. Next question. What do you believe the appropriate role of the city council is in job creation and economic development in Michigan City? Fitz?
Oh, well, seeing as how I'm sitting on the council, I know that it's not the council's position to create jobs. However, we do have a city planner, we have a chief executive, we have an economic development corporation. Those are the people that are charged with finding business opportunities, holding the ones that are here accountable, making sure that the quality of life wages that people need here are sustainable and are continuing to grow. I've seen a lot of restaurants come here. I wouldn't work at a restaurant. I don't think I could afford to take care of my family if I worked at a restaurant. I think that 35-year-olds should have better opportunities and better positioned jobs in the community. And I think the teenagers and the early people just starting off life should be at those restaurants. And I think we have too many. We need more in industry or entrepreneurial programs so people can have living wages.
Thank you very much, Fitz. And Beth, please, same question.
I believe that economic development is thriving here. We have a good revolving loan program for new developments. I've visited and spent some time with Clarence Holsey, the economic development director, and he's shed some light for me on a subject I didn't know about, that there is some redevelopment coming down the road in the future for redeveloping the South 421 Gateway project. So I'd be interested in learning more about that so that when we do make a vote on the council, we'd be making informed decisions.
Okay. Thank you, Beth. Now, our third question, beginning with Fitz, if we may. Why do you believe that you are the best candidate for representing the 4th Ward?
Like I said before, I'm not the smartest person in the world. I don't have a fancy education. I was a contractor. I'm a death investigator. I work at a hospital. But I listen, and I'm going to work hard, and I'm going to continue to work hard. I'm sorry I'm not someone who has, deeply ground roots in here. I've been coming here since the early 90s, since I was a kid. This is where I vacationed in the summers. And as soon as I was old enough, I moved here. And once I was able to purchase a home, I purchased a home in the 4th Ward, and that's where I've been ever since. I've been going door to door for pretty much the entire time I've been on the council, which is December. Within 2 weeks of me being on the council, I went door to door and invited everyone out to a town hall meeting so we could address their issues. I've been going precinct by precinct, door to door, asking them what their concerns are. We just had concerns with speeding on the Crestwood and the Southgate area, and I can honestly say and proudly say that we have the radar machine over there, and I'll be in front of the Board of Works Monday to discuss getting the speed reduced per resident concerns.
Thank you, Fitz. Now, and Beth, now, why do you believe that you are the best candidate for representing the 4th Ward?
I think I'm the best candidate because for one thing, I've part of the fabric of the community already. I was a home health care nurse through the 90s into the 2000s. Part of that time was a hospice nurse, so I've been in your homes when your moms or your dads were passing away. I've raised my children in the 4th Ward, so I've been to the schools. I love the community. I love Michigan City. I would just continue to try to do what I can. I keep an eye on things. I know all my neighbors' names. When ServPro was overfilling their dumpsters, I went over and knocked on their door and told them, I don't think you should be doing that. And when they didn't stop, I had to go to the city, and they helped a little. And so I've been advocating for you all this time. You just didn't know it.
Thank you very much, Beth. Now, a round of applause for our 4th Ward candidates. Thank you. We've heard from our 5th Ward candidates, and there is no competing race in the 6th Ward, so we're going to go to the at-large candidates for City Council. They will be joining us here at the table. We'll begin our opening comments now with our Damon Carnes, please.
Good evening, everyone. I am Damon Carnes. I'm running for council at large. I am not from Michigan City. I was not born here, but I was raised here ever since I was 3 or 4 years old. For over 28 years, I was raised and conditioned to be a leader. Every job that I've had, it has been in service. That's what leadership is. It is service, not self-service. Every job that I've had has been in service. Whether I work for residential treatment facilities, Department of Corrections, 16 years in LaPorte County Juvenile Services, also St. Anthony's Hospital Behavior Med on the 3rd floor, and also currently 10 years as a pastor in this city. My goal and intentions for being on the council is to be a conduit of what real leadership is. Leadership is hard. Sometimes you have to ask hard questions. Sometimes you have to be the unpopular one. You have to have a thick skin. You have to do things opposite of what people want. Not being what people want you to be, but being what is right. Sometimes politically right is not right. And that's what I want to bring to the table. So far, our current administration, there is either weak or none or partial leadership. And there are tremendous repercussions when those things exist. A lot of people don't understand that. It comes from leadership. Leadership starts from the top to the bottom. You don't look at the bottom and expect things to go better. You start from the top. And if you can't handle that, then why are you in leadership? Why would you take a position? I was not raised to look in the office and sit in the office and do nothing. I was not raised to hold a title. I was raised for service. I was raised to be a leader, and that's what I'm going to do.
Thank you, Damon. Now may we go, please, to Angie Nelson-Deutsch.
Deitch.
Deitch.
Hi. Good evening. I would like to thank the League of Women Voters and the Better Government Study Group for having this forum tonight. First, I would just like to say that I am just a committed citizen of Michigan City and LaPorte County. I've committed all my time to my kids here, and when I say my kids, I'm talking all kids here in Michigan City. Whether that was being a Girl Scout troop leader, track coach, basketball coach, you name it, I've done it. And one of the things that I want people to know that these positions are hard. It's hard to run for office, and I don't think people realize it takes a lot of guts for people to get up here and to do this, and it takes time. One of the things I would like to say is that, you know, when I talk about things, I walk my walk. I'm not just one sitting back, you know, wanting a position. I've served on several boards here. I support the United Way here. I work with the Student United Way at the high school. We help create that. I've been doing college workshops and readiness workshops and scholarship workshops for the last 10 years on my own time, because it's important that we build a community for our kids. What we do today is going to impact our kids later. And I don't think we all realize these decisions impact them forever. So, you know, when we make decisions, that's what I think about. I think about my kids. You know, I want my oldest daughter to be able to say, I want to live here. She doesn't live here. She lives in Texas. She has no desire to live here because there's not an opportunity for her here. So, again, I'm here because I want your vote so that I can support the people and represent the people of Michigan City.
Thank you, Angie. And next, let's go to Donald Przybylski, please.
Thank you, Lee, and good evening, everyone, and welcome to the forum. And I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for this forum. Very informative. First of all, a couple of things about myself. Born and raised here in Michigan City. Graduated from Manchester College with a degree in economics and finance, and have been married for 34 years to my beautiful wife, Jenny, who's sitting here this evening. And she's a retired Michigan City area schools school teacher. And the reason I am running for city council, again, for re-election, is because I love Michigan City, and I want to see Michigan City prosper. And I want to see the city flourish and be a wonderful place for everyone. And just a couple of accomplishments that I've done and qualifications why I'm running for the city council. Because I've been on the city council for 8 years, I have the experience that it takes to be a hard-working and good council person. I've held leadership roles as vice president, chairman of the finance committee, and presently I'm in the second consecutive year as the president of the city council. I have the working knowledge of many aspects of government and the departments, and therefore I'm able to get things done for the citizens that call me and have issues. My ability to be a team-oriented person, and 37 years of working in industry for United States Steel has taught me how to deal with budgets and financing with the $67 million budget. That's what the city council has to deal with year in and year out. Top three priorities I'd like to see for Michigan City is less reliance on the riverboat funding for our budget, improvements made to the Promise Scholarship program with the objectives of including more students to benefit from the program.
Thank
Is that it? Okay, thank you very much.
Next, Johnny Stemley, please.
Yeah, but, like I said, my name is Johnny Stemley. I currently serve on the City Council, and I'm formerly LaPorte County Recorder. I've owned a downtown business or had owned a downtown business for 25 years. My father is a retired firefighter for 20 years, and my grandfather was a retired police officer for 24. I've been on numerous boards and commissions throughout the county and the city level. I've been involved in chairing and organizing many city events, from parades to the construction of the Easterling Memorial at the Old Lighthouse Museum. I'm honored to be the longtime president of the Washington Park Zoo, in which through grants and fundraisers, we have raised somewhere around $500,000 in the past 5 years. Some of the projects that we've been working on currently as a team, and I like to stress, I always work as a team, is a youth aviation program where they can obtain their private pilot's license, a mechanics program for airplanes, a drone program, and I was involved with the youth boxing program, which I intend to bring back. I currently would like to see an entrepreneur workshop space in the city, and I'd also like to see the city contracts posted on their website for qualified contractors and create an email list. I'm also very in favor of green space projects, such as trails, dog parks, and protecting our lakefront and our wildlife. As you stated earlier, the City Council is a financial body and legislation of local government, but my number one priority is to be the voice of the people. Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy. And now, Dahlia Sagast, please.
Good evening. Welcome, fellow candidates and concerned citizens. My name is Dahlia Gigas, and I'm a retired chemistry teacher, and I also own a business in Michigan City. So my experience as a chemistry teacher has brought me analytical skills as well as a lot of experience working with people with various backgrounds. As a business person in the Uptown Arts District, I understand both their optimism and their challenges, to be a downtown merchant. So as a member of the City Council, here are some of the things that I'd like to work on. Housing. We need apartments, townhomes, small homes ready to move in condition. We need housing to be walkable to transit and to stores, restaurants. Our transit needs a little bit of an overhaul. I think we need to see if we're serving all the residents, expand the hours possibly. We need bus shelters, we need sidewalks, and we need bike paths. I think all of that would add to the city, enjoyable for everyone. We seem to have a mismatch between the jobs that are available here and the skills of our residents. So we need to somehow get that matched up again. So we need to work with schools, colleges, unions, local businesses to kind of get together and make sure that the job skills match, something that's going to be a livable wage. And I want to continue. I'm a big environmentalist. You can look at my website, dahliagigas.com, if you want to hear about all of my participation in Michigan City. But I'm an environmentalist, and I think we need to conserve our green space, our waterways, our dunes, and our beaches, because that's one of our top beautiful things about our city. And I am also for supporting the arts community further. So thank you.
Thank you, Dahlia. Now, we have 3 questions that are for individual candidates, so we'll take those first and then go to to questions that all of the candidates will answer. First, to Damon Carnes. If you think that the city is headed in the wrong direction, what leadership did you provide to the Redevelopment Commission, and what do you do to improve Michigan City?
When I was on the Redevelopment Commission, I came on there, and there were a lot of projects that have already been started. And when I got there, I came in as a novice. just to get on to understand and to see what was going on in the city. I think that those people that were before me, that were working with me, I really got a glimpse of what was going on. What I want to do as part my leadership role is that there are things that need to be talked about. There are serious issues that need to be talked about before we do what I call cosmetics. Cosmetics is good, but there are serious issues that we need to deal with in this city. And I want to be a conduit of that to bring those issues up before we get to those other things.
Thank you, Damon. Angie Deitch, a question for you, please. Social media is a widely used tool to get information to the voters. Recently, you hosted an anti-bullying session at Michigan City High School. How would you go about handling adults that bully people on Facebook?
That's not my responsibility to handle that. But I will say this. One of the things that we're looking at doing this year, I don't know where that came from, but the young lady that actually did the event for us, I went to college with her, and she agreed. We got a grant for her to come and talk to high school students. But we had a parent session at the library where we had one parent show up for that. And this was all about social media, how to protect your kids, how to do all those different things, and we couldn't get any parents there. So I think it's important. I know when we were talking about the gun violence, we had a session with some youth that came, and one of the things that we talked about is how do we get the parents to attend and participate, because a lot of the stuff happens at home and starts on social media, and it escalates into the fights, into the shootings, and it starts there. So if we don't get these parents to stop it, how are we going to get the kids to stop it? So I think that's just something that the city can use riverboat funds for. Bring that program and get these parents there.
Thank you, Angie. And now to Johnny Stimley. As council liaison to the Redevelopment Commission, have you ever given a report to the City Council?
I have had numerous encounters with the City Council behind the scenes. One thing that I'm very disappointed with the Redevelopment Commission, that as liaisons, I do not get invited to any executive sessions. I believe that council should be more involved with the Redevelopment Commission, such as projects like the 7th Street apartment complex, the plaza, the old police station, and the double track. I have asked numerous times to be invited to one of their sessions, and I have been rejected.
Thank you, Johnny. Now, a question will begin with Damon. For all candidates, recently there has been interest in using the city's natural resources for recreation. Do you see this trend continuing, and is that there? And is that there a facet? An asset. We got it now. We got it. Recently, there has been interest in using the city's natural resources for recreation. Do you see this trend continuing, and is it an asset or a problem for the city? Natural resources, we're talking about rivers for paddling, hiking, trails, bike trails, parks, etc.
Absolutely, I see it as an asset. We have a beautiful city. We have a beautiful beachfront, and I think that as we continue to exploit that and use it to our advantage for tourism, I think we have all the advantage. We have so many possibilities in this city, and I see moving forward that that's going to be a tremendous asset in this city for us.
Okay. Thank you, Damon. Angie?
Our natural resources, actually the beaches are cornerstone. I can travel anywhere that I've lived and people know where Michigan City is because of the beach. I think one of the things that we need to do differently, and I think several candidates have mentioned before, is we need more mixed-use housing. We need people living here. Tourism is great, but it's sad when we have a child who said they don't go to the beach, right? Every child here should have at least been to the beach. I think we need to make it more inviting and provide some different opportunities for our kids at the beach. We have the Youth Academy in the summer that utilizes that area, but I think if we can get more of our kids engaged in the process of what to do with our natural resources, I think it'll be more impactful. Right now it's just a tourist attraction and not a community attraction, and I think that's what we need here in Michigan City.
Thank you, Angie. And Don, please.
Thank you, Lee. For sure, Michigan City has fantastic natural resources for people to enjoy. And also in the natural resources, I want to include the park department that we have and the park system that we have. We have Trail Creek, that's beautiful for canoeing, for paddling, or whatever type of water activities Trail Creek can address. And of course, Lake Michigan and the beach. I believe the beach is our greatest asset, and I love the beach. One thing I wish that the LaPorte County Visitors Bureau would do is to market Michigan City more and market our lakefront more. For example, cities in like Indianapolis, and get farther out, so because people in Indianapolis don't know a lot about Lake Michigan. And then our park district, Cleveland Playground. I just want to comment on that. When the police station was built, I made it known that if we were going to build the police station there, we were going to rebuild Cleveland Playground for all the citizens
Don, I think
for
we have
Michigan
to
City.
stop.
Thank you.
Thank you. Johnny?
When it comes to green space, I believe, like you said, our beaches are number one asset. Our beaches are number one asset, and our lakefront. I believe we should have more festivals down at the lakefront. One thing that we forget too is we have a national park right next door to us, which I believe I heard that 88 million people viewed that online. And we need to connect the Calumet Trail to the lakefront. This has been a process for around 18 years, a project that hasn't happened yet, and I want to see it finally done. We've been working with the dog park. We've been trying to get that done for the people of Michigan City. And I always believe in the protection of our dunes and our lakeshores. It's our number one priority, and we should take our pride into that. And also our wildlife. Sometimes we forget about that, and the one thing, too, is the bike paths. We have to concentrate on making Michigan City and the downtown more pedestrian-friendly. Thank you.
Thank you, Johnny. And Dahlia, please.
Okay, so I also agree with just about what everyone said. Being last is kind of odd because I have to just say yes, yes, yes. But yes, kayak launches and some passive activities at the beach. I mean, you're right. Like every student here should have been at the beach. I know that all the students get to go on Trail Creek to do an environmental, week called Trail Creek Week, where they learn about the creek, the history, the macrobiotic organisms that live there, and the water quality. I think we need to keep developing our assets. And, yesterday I was just driving through Hobart, and I could not believe how many bike paths that town has. And it's a town about our size, and you can get almost anywhere in that town on a bicycle. And I know that's a big dream, but, let's start moving for it. Let's just encourage more bicycle riding and more use of Trail Creek and the lakefront.
Thank you, Dahlia. Now, a concluding question for each of the candidates. If you had to identify what you believe to be the most important issue facing Michigan City, what would it be, and what would you do if you're elected to address that issue? So what's the most important issue facing the city, and what would you do to address that issue if you are elected as an at-large city council member? Damon?
I think the most important issue in this city is inclusion. Everyone needs to be included. And what I would do is to push and to hold those accountable in offices, department heads, so that we go towards that. Everybody deserves an opportunity. Everybody deserves a chance. The money needs to be spread over the whole city. Everyone deserves to be included. Thank you.
Thanks, Damon. Angie?
I don't have one, but I'll talk about one. I think that as an at-large candidate, neighborhood development is probably number one for me, and that includes engagement as well. We talk about CDBG, but we also have the Urban Enterprise Association. We have multiple grants that are available and that have been available here in the city for beautification projects. But one thing I would like to see all of these businesses that utilize government funds, that means that we pay them to do work for us, that they implement an internship program for our kids. And maybe that would be something that can jumpstart what happens, with our kids and the development in these communities. And that minute went by real fast. I hope we have closing comments.
You will.
Okay.
Thanks, Angie. Don, please.
Thank you, Lee. For me, the number one issue, without a doubt, is our deterioration and the way neighborhoods look throughout Michigan City. And I believe that has to go back to code enforcement. And I'm not blaming code enforcement for anything. What we need to do is enforce the laws that the code enforcement in the city has, and then be able to carry them out and get these folks that are not being within the city laws to correct the situation. I walk quite a bit throughout the city, and I see neighborhoods that when I was growing up were beautiful, and now you have cars parked in the front yard, you have cars parked on the city easements, you have boats parked all over the yards and things like that, and tarps on top of homes for roofing repairs. Code enforcement needs to be improved in order to improve our neighborhoods.
Thank you. Johnny, please.
When you look into moving into a city, you look at jobs, their school system, public safety, and green space. With jobs, like I said before, I'd like to create an entrepreneur workshop center, which gives people the opportunity to create, launch their own private job creation. With the school systems, I did stress that I'd like to see an aviation program brought in. And for public safety, I do what I can on the city council to protect our citizens when it comes to police and fire. And also with green space, like I said, we've been working hand in hand in many different green space projects. So those are the four that I see that we need.
Thank you, Johnny. And Dahlia, please.
Okay. I'll have to agree that housing is like the major issue, I think, in this town, and something that we can do something about. And code enforcement, I mean, we need more people on the street. We can't just depend on one person to do code enforcement. But I think we need to have incentives for contractors, for developers, something to incentivize them to rehab this. And also, I know there's grants available for renters to become homeowners. And if renters become homeowners, they take care of the property better than if they're just renting and walking away from that. So I think incentives, working with people that have grants, get going, and like really neighborhood involvement is very key. So thank you.
Thank you, Dahlia. Now, each candidate will have 1 minute for concluding comments. And we begin with Damon.
Thank you. I started off talking about leadership, and I'm going to end up with that. I think it's very important that we have good leadership, and that's what I want to be for the residents of Michigan City. I want to go to work for you. I want to be someone that stands up for justice for those that have been done unjust. I want to be a voice for someone that doesn't have a voice. I want to help those that are hopeless, and I want to be a conduit of that, so that when you look at me, you may not like me, you may not like the way I do things, but you respect me for my leadership, and that's what I want to bring to the table as council at large. Thank you.
Thank you, Damon. Angie, please.
Hi, I humbly ask for your vote on May 7th. I'm engaged and committed to the citizens of Michigan City. I have always been that person since I've been here. I think my actions speak louder than words or what anybody could possibly even say about me. I commit to working with fellow council members, the mayor, the clerk, to make sure we put our best foot forward for our citizens. And I promise to have an open door policy and be accessible. I'm that way now. This includes hosting regular meetings and also hopefully creating some type of neighborhood council with some of the associations that are already existing. But my goal is just to be that conduit and connector for people who need resources, because we have people who are in poverty, and that has been my life goal, is to work with those people because I've been there before. Thank you, and I ask for your vote on May 7th phone number 219-561-6389. Thank you.
Thank you, Angie. And now, Don, please.
Thank you, Lee. And just to add a couple more things that I'd like to do if I'm reelected is to, number one, expand the Promise Scholarship Program for the students in Michigan City, and we are going to schedule a meeting with the committee here at the end of the month. The other thing that I also want to do is but work with the Economic Development Corporation and other city departments to bring better paying jobs to Michigan City and try to uplift 30% of the population of Michigan City that lives in poverty. But in closing, I will continue, as I have for the last 8 years, to be your voice on the city council. I study every issue as it should be studied, and I spend every penny as if it was my own. This budget is a $67 million a year budget that the council deals with. I've been through budget hearings, I've been through negotiations with police and fire, and I know how the money should be spent. Thank you very much and appreciate your support on May 7th.
Thank you, Don. Johnny, please.
I believe strongly in government transparency, and you have to be a good listener. I will continue to support the policies and city budget measures that comprise the public to be involved and engage. You can judge someone by their past, and you've seen what I've done for the youth and the community of Michigan City. I will continue to work for the betterment of Michigan City and their people. A vote equals trust, and I hope you have that trust in me to re-elect me once again. Thank you.
Thank you, Johnny. And Dahlia.
All right, so my name is Dahlia Gigas, and I'm running for Michigan City Common Council, just to repeat that. And thank you to the League for having this forum. My main issues, as you said, were housing, transit improvements, including sidewalks, bike paths, bus shelters, environment, preserving our trees, our green areas, our dunes, our beaches, and supporting our arts community. If we do all that, companies will be attracted to us, they'll want their citizens to live here, and then more jobs will come. So I'd like to represent you for the Michigan City Common Council, so I'm asking you for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Dahlia. Now, round of applause. These candidates. There will be 3 candidates who will be successfully elected as at-large members, and you've heard from several good candidates tonight. Next will be the candidates for mayor. Gentlemen, I believe we are about to begin that session on the candidates for mayor. And we are going to begin with the opening statements. And we'll begin with Robert Loney, please. Republican candidate for mayor.
Hello, my name is Robert Loney. I'm running for mayor of Michigan City. And we'll start off by telling you a little bit about myself. I have worked in numerous fields throughout the last 30 years. Construction, manufacturing, service, financial services, and that's taught me a lot about what people go through on their daily lives, their concerns and their issues, and obviously everyone here has their own experiences. I think those experiences that I've had help me connect better with the community. To go from that, I've got an educational background in finance, economics, business, because I think it helps to understand that side of it. People are very important. They're the most important part of government service. You also have to understand how you're spending their money because they trust you with it. They trust you with the decisions you're going to make for their future. I decided to run for mayor for, well, much of the same reasons that you've seen all of these candidates tonight. You've seen people with concerns about neighborhoods, about jobs, about the environment. We've got so many concerns in this city that aren't being currently addressed. If they're not being addressed, there's a problem. We need to start looking for solutions to problems and not waiting for problems to pop up. We have to be more proactive, and we have to have solutions so that people aren't feeling left out. People aren't feeling neglected. People aren't feeling not listened to. And as your next mayor, I will have an open door policy so that I can talk with anybody that has concerns as long as the door is open. And I look forward to having your support and your vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Robert. And let's go to Dwayne Perry, please, Republican candidate for mayor.
Thank you, Lee. I ask you, are you better off today than you were 8 years ago? Has your quality of life in your neighborhood improved? Have your employment opportunities and financial condition gotten better? Is your house worth more now than 8 years ago? If the only thing in your life going up is taxes, remember, you're getting what you voted for. Don't make that mistake again. We know that Michigan City's hurting. We've heard this from too many not to be true. National newspaper, USA Today, Area Vibes, a website that rates cities, and Reuters, a top business and news source. It's time to end the pain with a vote for Dwayne. I'm fully qualified to serve you as mayor. A Bachelor of Science degree from Purdue University in Construction and Engineering Technology, a veteran of the U.S. Navy, 30 years managing multi-million-dollar contracts with Fortune 500 companies, and leading a small community organization, Cool Spring Baseball, for 5 years, doubling its size, starting T-ball and girls softball. Let me lead our city forward. Picture Michigan City as a crown jewel of the Midwest, a shining city on the shore of the greatest Great Lake, a city rich in opportunity for its people, rich in amenities and service, and rich in quality of life. How? By using our $12 million per year windfall of riverboat dollars wisely. I will improve the quality of life for the average Michigan Citizen like me, not the small circle of political insiders. I will do better and provide more for our citizens. Give me a chance. Glance back 8 years. Now look forward. Considering what I promised to do, what do you have to lose? I see the path to greatness, and I want to lead us there. Take back a bright future with a vote for Dwayne Perry for mayor.
Thank you, Dwayne. Now, some questions, if we may, for our two mayoral candidates. We'll begin first one with a candidate, if you had to identify what you believe the most important issue is that Michigan City is facing, what is it, and what will you do about it if you are elected mayor? And we'll begin with Robert, please.
The most important issue is actually a combination of issues. It's our future, and that's what we're deciding with an election. We're always looking at the future. We have different things happening in the city with the double track and with NIPSCO going down. And we need to look for how we can best position our community to attract jobs, to attract people. With the double track, we're looking to bring people from Chicago. Why aren't we bringing the jobs from Chicago? We could have tech firms and light industrial firms right here in Michigan City. We've got the space, we've got the people, bring in the track, and that sounds like a solution. The most important issue is how are we going to be better? Like Dwayne said, in 4 years, 8 years, 12 years. We make these decisions, and they're based on the future. That's the most important, and we need to be proactive to address our future.
Thank you, Robert. Dwayne? Most important issue, and what will you do to address it?
Well, this is a three-way photo finish. They're so close. I would choose jobs first, equal opportunity for everyone second, and education third. The reason I picked jobs first was because with jobs comes prosperity, spendable money. People will invest more in their personal lives, their property, and we will draw more people to Michigan City with jobs. Equal opportunity, enough jobs and equal opportunity will ensure that everyone enjoys a piece of the pie. Thirdly, education. We're going to need to have a leading education system to draw people here. That means paying our teachers more money, better benefits, and smaller classes. Thank you.
Thanks, Dwayne. Our next question is going to be on the double tracking. The double tracking of the South Shore line means Michigan City will be an easy commute to Chicago. How will you balance increased housing and our current quality of life? Robert?
Quality of life is important, especially when you're trying to bring people into Michigan City. The double tracking will hopefully increase our population, and we need to make sure that we've got those quality of life issues. Good parks, good streets, bikeability, walkability. We need pedestrian transit to be safe with sidewalks, clearly marked crossings. And we need a transit system. If they're going to be using the South Shore, how do they get to and from the South Shore? We can't all be parking downtown. So we have to look at a station, perhaps one that involves our buses and the South Shore service, so that everything's centrally located and people get to and from Chicago and their house if they're going to be living here in the city. So let's get sidewalks, let's work on our transit system, and that's how we'll make things better for Michigan City, utilizing the double track.
Dwayne, please.
Would you repeat the question?
I certainly
please?
will. The double tracking of the South Shore line means Michigan City will be an easy commute to Chicago. How will you balance increased housing and our current quality of life?
Well, I will balance it substantially different than it has been balanced so far. I was amazed when the old Woolworth and Kresge buildings at the corner of 7th and Franklin were torn down, which would have provided over 30,000 square feet of residential condominium-type living 4 blocks away from our new train station. We've got to stop this kind of activity. We need to encourage owner-occupied homes. We need more housing, and we need to be awfully careful about the double tracking to make the neighborhoods that are affected still attractive to people. Specifically, around the north and west end of town where these streets are going to be blocked off. We need to either have cul-de-sacs, or if there's not enough room, have turnabouts from one street to another so that those neighborhoods do not lose their appeal. Thank you.
Thank you, Dwayne. Next question. It seems the city is focused on tourists and forgetting about the residents who are here 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. What will you do to make it possible to have bus service on Sundays and holidays? Many stores are open on Sundays and holidays, 24 hours, 7 days, and residents who rely on bus service need to get to work. Robert?
When we're talking about bus service, that's just something that we can do. You go to the department and we look at the routes and the funding and we get it done. We've got the riverboat money, and our transit system does need to be updated. We could do lighted shelters with LED lights. They're relatively inexpensive and easy to install. We could put posted schedules so people know what days of the week they can use the bus. And yes, have the buses run on Sundays. The trains run on Sundays, the buses should run on Sundays.
Thank you, Robert. Dwayne?
Well, I'm not really experienced as a bus rider. I used to be, but I'm fortunate that I have my own transportation. But the buses that I do see run empty. I think we need to expand the bus service in terms of hours of operation, but we'll have to add security to that. We need smaller buses so that we can afford more buses, and we need another mode of transportation for handicapped and elderly people who can't get around. That's what I would do, Lee. Longer hours of operation, naturally.
Thank you, Dwayne. Next question. Why do you believe that you are the best candidate for mayor of Michigan City? Robert?
I believe I'm the best candidate for mayor because I've got the background and the experience of living just like everybody else in Michigan City. I don't think I'm better than anybody else, and a lot of you have gone through hardships I could only imagine. I think the mayor needs to be open to everybody's input. It shouldn't be a closed circuit. You're only getting these voices. Everybody needs to have a voice. I have a number of initiatives that I could implement relatively inexpensively and immediately. We could overhaul the internet, our website, so that we can get more information to people. We can get more information from people. We could get recycling in our parks and on our public streets so that we don't have as much trash overflowing the regular trash cans when it's perfectly easy to recycle the pop cans and the water bottles. I look for solutions before somebody says it's a problem. That way we have fewer problems.
Thank you, Robert. Dwayne, please.
I believe I'm the best person to be mayor because of my experience in business. Managing multi-million-dollar contracts for Fortune 500 companies is not easy. You take the contract, you estimate it, whether it's purchase of an item or services, you estimate it, and then if you award that contract or if you're the successful bidder, that becomes your budget. You've got to maintain that. And also, I am a negotiator. This community's been stagnant too long. We need some leadership like LaPorte has had to bring companies like Alcoa Aeronautical, Howmet, Renault, and others to our doorstep. We're not going to get them if we just sit here and say we've got a nice town. We've got to go out and chase these people. There's too much competition, and that's what I am good at.
Thank you, Dwayne. Now, one last question, a little bit different. We've talked a lot about the role of the mayor and the city council members in the city's future. As candidates for mayor, what do you believe residents need to do to move Michigan City forward? Robert?
Continue to be active and be more active. There are group meetings for different neighborhoods, Elston Grove and others. There are community action groups. There's, the Main Street Association. There are a number of meetings that are available. I've come to a number of city council meetings and not heard people bring their complaints here. If you have the complaints, you have to bring them to the government. Otherwise, they can't fix them. They're just empty, oh, this sucks. But if we don't address these, then it doesn't matter what you tell us. We have to, it's back and forth. Yes, the citizens need to let us know what's going on, and we need to have an easier way to get that done. As I said, an open door policy with the mayor or a way to contact through the internet so that we know what the issues are.
Thank you, Robert. And Dwayne, please.
I believe the people of Michigan City need to look within themselves. I've said this many times. I think we've, as a community, we've had our back broken spirit-wise. We're long past the days when everyone worked and we were self-sufficient and prosperous. We didn't need people to come here to shop and gamble. Everybody here worked. We need to, as a group, we need to look at ourselves, what we want our community to be, and step forward. Clean up our houses, work with our children so that our students score better academically, and step forward in the community, looking with jobs and with support. Thank you.
Thank you, Dwayne. And now, the opportunity for that concluding statement from each of you, and Robert, will begin with you, please.
Once again, I'm Robert Loney. I'm asking for your vote as a Republican nominee on May 7th. I know the Republican Party isn't always popular in this town, but that shouldn't matter that much. What should matter is getting the right person for the job that needs to be done. I believe I'm the right person. We can look at all the numbers we want, whether it's, tied for 311th out of 312 communities, 313 communities across the nation in job growth. That's nothing to hang our hat on. We could look at the top 200 cities for small business, and we don't even rate in the top 100. We're at the bottom of Indiana. There are a lot of numbers that'll tell us we're not doing that great in Michigan City. But Michigan City isn't about the numbers. It's about the people. I'm glad all of you came out. I'm glad we have all of the candidates, because that shows we know there are problems in this city. And as your next mayor, I will start to address them.
Thank you, Jim. Dwayne, please.
Thank you. Michigan City's hurting. Let's end the pain. Why? Because it hurts to see our once great city in decline. When the leadership of the community is not up to the task, the people suffer. It's time to end the pain. When millions of dollars of property tax and riverboat money are spent by the mayor and redevelopment commission without bringing living local wage jobs, the people get hurt. It's time to end the pain. When prevailing wage jobs are not filled by local people, Michigan Cityans get hurt. It's time to end the pain. When neighborhoods are unsafe, gunplay goes unchecked, and the mishandling of criminals by law enforcement causes our citizens to lose faith in and not trust their police department, Everyone feels the pain. It's time to end the pain. And when our children and grandchildren leave Michigan City because there's no opportunity for them here, our families are in pain. My fellow citizens, enough is enough. It's time to end the pain, elect Dwayne, and together we'll rock this town. Thank you, League of Women Voters, and thank you for coming.
Dwayne. Hearty thanks to all of our candidates this evening and to all of you for being here tonight to be a part of what I believe has been a very healthy opportunity. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we...
Close.
I didn't know that we've separated them. I thought it was a little unusual. Should we give it to him? Okay, we'll give it. Ron.
Hey, how you doing?
All right, how are you?
Good seeing you. All right. How you doing, Mrs. Martin? All right, all right.
Mrs. Martin, how are you?
Fine, and you?
Good to see you tonight.
Thank you.
I thought it was a little unusual that there were no Democrat candidates today.
I thought we sat all that time for no reason.
Huh?
I thought we sat all that time for no reason.
Yeah, I said they don't forget us. I can go home. That's not my.
Well, all those things are still true. It's been a wonderful evening so far, and I think it's going to be even better as we finish up tonight. So next we'll go to the Democrat candidates for mayor of the city of Michigan City, and we'll begin tonight with the first candidate, being Ron Meir, please.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and I am Mayor Ron Meir. I bring 29 combined years experience of municipal government here in Michigan City, serving 7 years on the city council, 8 years on the city council, 7 years on the Human Rights Commission, and now 7 years as mayor of Michigan City. There's been great progress that's undeniable that's occurred over the last 7 years here in Michigan City. Over $1 billion in investment in the Michigan City community, and that's from the outside circuit and municipal government. Every major employer in the city of Michigan City is currently hiring, whether it's Hitachi Solar, GEF, Heartside Foods, Franciscan Alliance, and I could go on and on, Chicago Faucet, the casino itself. Every major employer is got job openings, and your non-major employers are also hiring. There's been this $1 billion investment. That should show confidence in our community and to our leadership of what's happening here in this community. We've utilized $40 million to protect the environment, green infrastructure, lift stations, sanitary sewers and storm sewer projects in your neighborhoods. Those things don't seem glamorous, but if sewage water is backing up in your house, or you don't have fresh, clean water, as they don't have in Flint, Michigan, that become actual social and racial issues in those communities, we're providing that. We don't get checked on that because that we're doing an exceptional job. And that's the main component of any mayor, is there's a lot of things we talk about, the job creation and things, and we work regionally. We work with the city of LaPorte. When you see expansions in LaPorte or Michigan City, it's because it's being done jointly for job creation, because it's a 9-mile commute to LaPorte. Every day people come from LaPorte to work in Michigan City. Every day people go from Michigan City to LaPorte. I know people that have worked in LaPorte for 30-plus years. So those jobs that grow in LaPorte County are for everyone in the city of Michigan City.
Thank you, Ron. And now, Virginia Martin, please.
Good evening. My name is Virginia Martin, and I'm running for mayor of Michigan City. I was on the council 15 and a half years. 3 of those. You can't hear me? Oh, okay. I was on the city council for 15 years, 3 years as council president. I retired from Michigan City area schools after 30 years, and I have always worked where there's a union. And I do believe unions are good for everyone. We need jobs in Michigan City. We need good paying jobs. We do have some jobs, but they're not good paying jobs. We need to also see what we can do about our youth, because our youth need to have summer jobs like we used to have, and then we can take and train them and mentor them, because we're having a lot of shootings in Michigan City, and they're the 16-year-olds. We need affordable housing. We need the Promise Scholarship to be opened up for more students. And thank you. And please vote for me November 7th.
Thank you, Mrs. Martin. Now, let's go to some questions, if we may. The first question I would like to share with you is, with the South Shore double tracking on 10th and 11th Streets, what will you do for the residents who live on the streets to be closed, who do not wish to have them closed? And maybe begin with Ron, please.
Okay, well, first of all, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes in negotiations with NICD and the federal and the state government. This has been a four-county partnership, and we are working with the residents. When we talk about the closure, for instance, on the west side of Michigan City, actually 10th Street will now be open to full traffic in both directions. There will not be a track in the center of the street. So I'm not sure if everybody's aware of that. There will no longer be a track in the street. The double tracking will move over to the south of that. In 11th Street, and we talk about these crossings, many times people say they're going to be closed. They're not necessarily going to be closed completely. You'll be able to turn coming off of those side streets onto 11th Street and then head to the east. So there's a lot of work that we're very conscientious about making sure that the residents' concerns are going to be addressed when double tracking does occur in Michigan City.
Mrs. Martin?
I can't really say, because I don't know. I know the tracks are going to be there, but what I'm saying is I don't know how it's going to affect them, because like at my house, I live on 12, and when the train comes through, it shakes the house. And so I don't know if it's going to be convenient. It'll be convenient for some folks, but if you live right up on the train track, unless you're going to move all the folks that's there out away from that train track, it's going to affect them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Martin. Next question would be this one. Last year, the Michigan City Fire Department shut down the Calumet Pallet Factory on Ohio Street for multiple code and safety violations. What action will you take as mayor to have this property remediated, please, and put back into operation under responsible ownership? Ron?
Well, first of all, it was under my leadership that we made sure that the Calumet Pallet was red tagged and shut down due to a variety of conditions, OSHA violations that we were made aware of, but also our concerns with our local inspection department and the Michigan City Fire Department. So as of this day, they are shut down. As you can imagine, that there is a legal process that you must go through in order to follow through with actually cleaning up and condemning that area, if that's the direction they go. The company may come into compliance with all the regulations and codes that they're currently in violation of, but at this point, we're moving to close that. It's a detriment to the south side. There's no doubt about that.
Thank you. Mrs. Martin?
If OSHA closed it down, then there's nothing the city can do until OSHA decides to open it back up.
Okay. Thank you. Next question. If you had to identify what you believe the most important issue facing Michigan City is, what would it be, and what will you do if you are elected or re-elected as mayor for the coming term? Ron?
Well, that's a tough one, because there's a lot of major issues we need to deal with. But I would say that getting our workforce and job training and education, not only for our youth but for our adults, because when I speak of all these job openings, and many of them are good-paying jobs in LaPorte industry or in Michigan City industry that's open right now. But we have, and you've heard it mentioned before, there's a skill gap. We have people moving into our area, coming from other areas, and they don't have the skills that are necessary for these good-paying jobs. So what happens, some people from outside of our community take these jobs, and You also, if we build a plant tomorrow and there was 500 good-paying jobs, $30 an hour, but they had this technical skill level, doesn't mean that they would be filled by Michigan City residents, and that's why we've been offering up training, the Skill Up grant, and job training. This is the key. We've got to get our workforce ready for tomorrow's technology and workforce.
Okay, thank you, Ron. Mrs. Martin? Most important issue facing Michigan City, and what will you do if you're elected mayor to address that issue?
Well, I would say affordable housing. We have a big, where the houses are not affordable and they have problems, and we could probably get, we have a government office here in City Hall, and so I'm sure if they had more help, maybe they could take and go out and look at the other houses and fix them.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Martin. The next question. What are your thoughts for the west side area by Highway 12 of Mount Baldy? And along with that, how do you plan to keep the residents informed of what's going on in the city during this coming term? Ron?
Well, first of all, there's going to be some great opportunity for our next generations coming up for the west side of Michigan City. Now we have the first national park in the state of Indiana, one of only 66 in the United States. And I heard it brought up earlier that when the announcement came of that park, that reached almost 90 million people worldwide. Michigan City can now start to the conversations about becoming a gateway city to the only national park in the state of Indiana. It's a very logistically difficult thing right now with NIPSCO being there. You know, in 2027, talking about shutting down the power plant, realistically, you're probably looking at 2035 after demolition and remediation work has been done, where you'll have that area freed up and have access to it. And we've got to make sure that we remain to have public access from the Michigan City Harbor to the national park. That's very important. There will be a lot of development that can occur on the west side. The future for our children and grandchildren for the west side is endless. You hear conversations about a grocery store. You have to make money, and the reason their grocery store isn't there now is because they can't make money.
Thank you, Ron. Mrs. Martin?
Could you repeat the
Yes.
question?
What are your thoughts for the west side area by Highway 12 and Mount Baldy? And then how will you keep people informed about progress if you were elected mayor?
I thought that's what you were saying. I would have a meeting once a month and let the residents know what's going on. If they live over there on the west side, you can either mail them or you could invite them into the office and tell them.
Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Martin. Now, one final question, and that is, why do you believe that you are the best candidate for mayor for this coming term? Ron?
Well, I'm the only candidate that has experience of being a mayor. I have a proven track record of economic development and redevelopment in Michigan City. There's been a lot of conversation about making Michigan City a destination spot for people to live, enjoy, whether it's to relocate here or to visit our community. Placemaking is very important. When you look at investors, whether it's manufacturing companies or any type of offices or that of nature, that they're looking for a place that they want to relocate, where they want to raise their children, where they want to have things to do. So placemaking has been very important as we look at some of the redevelopment that's occurred and economic development. It's very important to point out that the quality of life issues that we're working on, and there's only so much money to spend each year, as we've heard talks about the budget. And you can say all these things. I mean, I can go out in the community and find $50 million worth of things that I'd love to do tomorrow, but you have to operate on a budget.
Thank you, Ron. Mrs. Martin, why do you think you are the best candidate for mayor?
Well, I feel I got more experience than Ron had when he started, and we have 53% of the people do not have disposable income in Michigan City. 78% of our students qualify for free lunch and reduced lunch. Empty buildings, houses that need repair, and rent. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Martin. Now you have the opportunity, if you'd like, for that 1-minute concluding comment.
Okay, well, thank you once again, Lee. First of all, I just say that the majority of things that were brought up tonight, whether it's from the council candidates or the mayoral candidates, are already in the process. We're already doing the majority of those things. The Economic Development Corporation with Clarence Hulse, we are out actively trying to get business aggressively. It is very competitive. And we offer things like tax abatement. We've offered up riverboat monies. We've offered up trying to purchase land. We would provide infrastructure for businesses to come into our community. So we're competing with a large area in the Midwest, and we have retained jobs in LaPorte County. We have expanded jobs. I don't know where I heard 63 jobs. It's been hundreds of jobs created in Michigan City and in LaPorte City. And as once again, I have to say that Burt Cook and Clarence Hulse with the Economic Development Corporation, we work jointly. This is a regional thing. This isn't just an isolation. Sometimes a business could go just outside of the county that provides jobs for our residents.
Thank you, Ron. And Mrs. Martin, that was concluding comments.
The business are not coming to Michigan City, they're going to LaPorte. And the jobs that are going to LaPorte are good paying jobs. Michigan City are not getting any good paying jobs, and that's why a lot of residents are upset. Our infrastructure is bad. We're not putting in sidewalks. We just put in a new hospital, left all that dirt out there, and the peoples at the south side are complaining. That's it.
Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Martin. And thank you, candidates for mayor. Now, confession is good for the soul. I confess that I failed to give the candidates for the 4th Ward the opportunity for that 1-minute concluding comment. And I think we owe them that opportunity. So please, if you will, let's hear from our 2 candidates for the 4th Ward. And I apologize, Beth.
That's okay.
But you see, you're in a premier opportunity now to be the peak of the evening. And we begin, please, with Sean Fitz, please.
I pretty much thought I had said everything I needed to say, but I'll definitely take some more of your time since you'll have me. My name is Sean Fitzpatrick. I go by Fitz sometime. My phone number is 219-874-6547. My email is sfitzmc@hotmail.com. Feel free to contact me at any time. 2 things I want to close with, transparency and accountability. If we don't have transparency and accountability, what do we have? I don't care how many jobs we bring here. If we don't have transparency in government, what do we have? I don't care how many codes we write, how many ordinances they have. If there's no accountability for them, what do we have? The other thing I want to add and close with, here to talk about the double track. I think it's going to be a great thing. We have opportunity to grow with it, but tracks have been historically known to separate communities, and I'm not looking forward to a Michigan City where I'm living on the wrong side of the track. So let's make sure that when we do bring these tracks here, that it's inclusion for all and the city is developed evenly. Thank you.
Thank you, Fitz. And Beth, please.
I'm retired now, and I'll be able to have regular hours if I'm elected, and you would be able to call me, and I would also be able to have more time to meet with citizens. My phone number, if you had any questions between now and the election, is 219-871-1970. And in closing, in the News Dispatch on November 22nd, 15-year councilwoman of the 4th Ward, Pat Boy, endorsed me, saying, "Beth is in it for all the right reasons. On Election Day, May 7th, I ask you to have the same confidence in me that Pat has. With me, you get 40 years of leadership experience and results."
Thank you, Beth. And again, apologies.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being here tonight. Thanks again to the League of Women Voters, the Better Government Study Group, and have a wonderful rest of the evening.